Life is precious. I think we would all agree. But often we find that we take the very things that we do every day in life for granted until something happens in a blink of an eye. Hello, I'm Tom Russo, and this is In a Blink of an Eye, where we discuss stories from ordinary people whose lives are changed in an instant and how they overcame through faith, courage, and determination. Join me on this podcast for uplifting stories of how people face various challenges and learn to not only survive, but thrive. In a Blink of an Eye is sponsored by TradingCardsMarketplace.com. Discover, connect, and collect. That's TradingCardsMarketplace.com. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have to tell you, I am so excited about my guest today. Everybody knows that I'm a Texas Tech grad, so there's a special place in my heart for members of the football team from Texas Tech in days gone by. And one of my favorite offensive linemen from the late 80s, early 90s, Bingo Mancillas, is here with us. Bingo, welcome to the program.
Hey, Tom, how you doing? Glad to be here.
I am so excited to have you. So many memories watching you play and destroy people and lead the way for Bam Morris and so many other great running backs. I think Anthony Lynn was on that team too. Just unbelievable things that I know you have incredible stories. And we'll get to some of those, but I want to throw it to you and kind of tell everybody where are you from? Where you grew up, how you wound up in Lubbock, and then how you full circle where you're at now.
Okay, I grew up in Alice, Texas, a little place in South Texas close to Corpus Christi. Uh, Football town. They shut down the businesses Friday nights, Friday night lights all the way over there.
True Friday Night Lights.
Yeah, and my head coach was Bruce Bush. He was a really, really good. He recently got inducted into the high school coaches Hall of Honor. Anyway. We grew up down there, and those coaches told us Alice is it is a oasis for kids that just don't want to win. So I grew up there, and eventually Texas Tech found me down there. I got a full scholarship to play at Texas Tech. Played from '89 to '93. Played with some great football players: Bam Bam Morris, Zach Thomas, Marcus Coleman. You know, it, it was an amazing time in my life, and
And
just
those teams were so much fun to watch. And for people that don't realize, Spike Dykes was the head coach there then, and Spike is special to me for so many reasons, but I know he was special to you as well.
but yeah, Spike was awesome. Actually, he coached in Dallas in 1970. So
Really?
a lot of our conversations came back to Alice, Texas. Whenever I talked to him, and
I knew
great,
he had
was
been
great.
all over the place. I knew he had been in Midland, I think, but he'd done all over, and he was just a West Texas boy at heart, though. When you got out there at Texas Tech, that's for sure.
Funny,
Anyway, so you're at Tech, you're playing football with some unbelievable athletes. Several of them went on to great pro careers. Zach's even in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, I think, and
very
the
proud of
College
that.
Football Hall of Fame, right?
Very proud of that. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Pampa, Texas, the Pampa Harvesters.
Uh, Very proud of him.
Yes.
My son used to idolize him when he was a kid, and I'm really proud of Zach making it to the Hall of Fame. It shows what kind of coaches we had, and the program we had, and the way they taught us and made us believe in ourselves, and made us work every day. So it was a blessing to be coached by Coach Dykes and his staff.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And uh, funny side story, real quick. His son Sonny played baseball for Tech,
Yes, sir.
and I used to have a baseball card store in Lubbock on 34th and University back in the day, about the time you played. And Sonny used to come all the time to my baseball card store, and now here he is, a big college football coach that you see on Saturdays all the time. So
Yeah, real.
anyway, that's a funny side story. But okay, so you're playing football. Some things kind of happen to you. maybe your last year there, and as you graduated and kind of moved forward, you really wanted to play pro football, but that
Yes,
didn't quite happen, right?
yes, sir. I wanted to play with all my heart, but I had a son when I was a junior. It was a blessing. I love my kid. Yes, everything kind of changed that moment. You know, I want to play pro football so bad, and I would have done anything to do that. But when that my son came out, I started thinking different. You know, I got a kid. I got to take care of my kid,
Right, right.
and so, even before that, let me tell you that story about, the UP,
Oh, wow. Yeah, folks, this is a very incredible story.
but it'll come back full circle with everything that I believe nowadays. One night, my friend, and teammate Robert, and I we were staying at a suite at the UP, and it was just for the summer because everybody left that summer. And we were asleep one night, and we had a summer job helping out at the Air Force Base over there, uh, doing whatever, little odd jobs for them. But we were asleep that night, and all of a sudden, wait, before that happened, when we first moved in there, we cleaned out the place, and I found a little crucifix on the floor, and I put it up with a tack on my wall, and I, just pasted it up there. And I was asleep one night. All of a sudden, I felt something heavy sit on my stomach, just heavy.
Now
And
you were a big dude and you were a strong dude.
I was bench pressing over 400 pounds, squatting 600 and something pounds. And this thing sat on my stomach. So I started struggling. I was trying to get it off. I'm like, what is it? What's going on here? Right. And after about a minute, I couldn't breathe. And I panicked and I looked at that cross and I started saying the Our Father. I said, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come. And that thing started slowly lifting off my stomach. And I looked to the right after it lifted off my stomach and I saw a red fog floating away. And that freaked me out so bad
I can't
that
imagine. So it was, it felt like an evil presence of sorts.
evil presence, yes. And I saw it. I started pinching myself. I was like, that really happened. And I was like, I'm awake. I feel myself pinching myself. And for the rest of that summer, while we stayed in that little suite, I didn't fall asleep until I was exhausted. I mean, I had to work the next day. I couldn't go to sleep. I was exhausted. And I didn't tell my roommate. I asked him, hey, did anything happen? Anything happen last night? Everything was okay. He didn't say anything. So I wasn't going to scare him. I didn't say anything about it. But that is the first time I ever knew in my life that is a world that we don't know anything about. That you hear it in the Bible, you hear the stories and all that stuff. And a lot of people, if you never experienced it, it's hard to believe. I've experienced it, and that was the first time I ever knew there's
Well,
some.
I understand. I've had some similar experiences, not evil, but more on the good side, where God has talked to me, and you have to be careful who you share those stories with, because sometimes they look at you funny, but I don't care. I know what I saw, and you know what you saw.
Yes, sir. I know what I saw. And then after that, I finished off my career at Tech, went back to my hometown in Alice and started coaching down there. And everything was great. I had another daughter when I was down there. So I had my son and my daughter and my ex. And at that time, everything was good. And I
You had a
remember
pretty
saying,
good relationship at the time with your wife at the time, right?
yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I remember saying, man, my life's been so easy. I don't think God wants us to have an easy life. I think He wants struggles in our life to make us grow, to make us probably depend on Him because right now I depend on Him a lot and I'm not ashamed to say it. But anyway, once I said that, things started going wrong in the relationship and eventually, it didn't work out and I blamed him and I was angry at him and I was like, I believed in you with all my heart. My best game I ever played in my life, against the University of Nebraska. When I got done, first thing I said, "Thank you, God, for giving me this opportunity and this blessing." And then after that happened with my family, I was like, "Man, I don't want nothing to do with you. Uh, you
You
let my
shut God out at that point.
yes, sir.
You
You
shut
let me."
God out. And it's so easy to do, Bingo. I know when my eye problem happened, I blamed God. I was like, why did you do this to me? Why things were going so well, like you said. I was happy. And you fell into that same category.
Yes, sir.
You
Yes, sir.
blamed God.
And I did. Anything that had to do with religion or anything like that, I didn't want anything to do with it. I blamed him. And it happened, and then it went on for quite a while. But eventually, something started happening where I started feeling like there was a negative presence around me or something. Negative things started happening, and it started scaring me. Little by little, little things were happening, and I started thinking, "Hey, you know, what's going on?" I'll start.
And during this time, you were doing some kind of self-destructive behavior,
Yeah,
probably some alcohol and things like that.
drinking a lot, going out in clubs and things like that. Yes, I was doing self-destructive behavior, and eventually things started happening that I was like, "Hey, what's going on here?" And it started subtle little things, and it started getting bigger and bigger. And then it all came to a head one night. I got home and I parked in my parking spot. I was living in an apartment at the time, and I looked to the left, and I saw a dark hooded figure looking at me. And I stared at that thing for 30 minutes. I was rubbing my eyes to make sure that I was seeing what I was seeing.
And it was standing there, but you could feel this presence.
No, I could see a dark. I saw a figure looking, and it was looking at me. And I was like, I was like, Really? You there?" And I looked at it for 30 minutes. And after that 30 minutes, I turned to my ignition and turned off the key. I looked back and it was gone. But like I said, I had already felt something was going on, something negative. And then when I saw that, I said, I think I need to start changing something around. So about that same time, I moved over here. My dad was in Meadville, Texas, and it's like a little ranch town. There's not a lot of roads or anything out there. But I was like, man, something's got to change. So about that time, I was jogging every night. I jog it. I jog. I'm an old man and my knees hurt, but I still try and jog. But back then, I was jogging all the time, and I would jog by a little church. Every time I stopped at a church, I said, "If you're there, show me who you are, and if you're really there." For 2 years, nothing. I ain't hear see anything, and I just kept doing it. Hey, if you're there, show me who you are, and if you're really there. And after those 2 years, things started happening at the right times when I needed something good to happen. They started happening, and it happened too often to be coincidence. It wasn't. I know that was the first time that I started seeing God come into my life and start making things happening for me.
Good works were happening for you
They
at
were
that
happening
time.
at the right time. There's no coincidence with God. I can tell you all kinds of stories, even now, at this time, that there's no coincidence when it comes to God. It might be His timing. Like I said, 2 years.
Yeah.
I was sitting here.
It's not in our time. You're exactly right. That's something that I hope all listeners understand. It's not in the time that we want it. It's not when we expect it. It's in God's time, and God knows the right time. I I I certainly believe that and certainly understand that.
Anyway, things started happening. I went on and moved into Houston. Got me a job. I got into another serious relationship. Had two more beautiful kids from that relationship, and just started everything started happening, and then you know, you always go through rough times. They were gonna at the school that I was for 10 years when I first got here to Houston. They had to make cuts, and I was not one of the first people hired there, so they had to get rid of the younger ones before they could get rid of the people that been there the longest.
Sure.
And at that time, my son was at Cy Springs High School.
Okay.
I had a friend named Robert Sosa from Alice, and he started telling me, "Hey, there's a job open. I'm here. Apply." So I started applying over there, and just like usual, whenever I needed it the most, the Lord came through. So I got to coach my son at Cy Springs High School, and my daughter. My
Outstanding.
daughter, my daughter was a volleyball player there, so I got to see a bunch of her games there.
And
Uh,
those are memories that you have forever.
Forever. I got to I got to coach my son, and I got to see a bunch of my daughter's games. Anyway, I was there the last 15 years, and with my two daughters that I had in this relationship, I'm not gonna lie, my relationships haven't been the greatest, but my kids mean the world to me. And I did everything in my possession, in my power, to be around them and be a good influence to them. And anyway, my brother was watching my mom in San Antonio, and he passed away. And so eventually, you know, there was nobody could take care of her down there. So I moved her up here with me. She was with me. And my daughters, I said, okay, I got to work. You know, I got to do what I got to do. And uh, I started doing working, and they started watching her during, and I was paying them to watch her. You know, to take care of her and all that stuff. And so they took care of her while I went to work and all that stuff. But their mom got a job offer in Oklahoma, and she for really good money. I mean, really good money. And she has family down there, and they're politically connected and all that stuff. And I was like, hey. And she eventually came up to me and said, "Hey, we're thinking about moving to Oklahoma." And I said, "Okay." And my good daughters wanted to move with her, and I have no problem with that. They can go down there and have political connections and get good jobs and all. I had no problem with that. So, but about that same time, you know, I was starting to worry. I was like, "Hey, what? I got still got to find help for my mom." I thought I had to work till 59 years old. And so I was like, man, I got to find somebody to help my mom when they're gone. Well, I started asking about retirement to some of my teacher friends and stuff, and they start telling me, no, go look it up, go to
Once you have
TR.
5 years in Texas, you can retire. I did. I only had 6 years and I retired.
Well, let me tell you the whole story. You know, I didn't know. I thought, you know, my old way of thinking and hearing stories and all that stuff. I thought I had to work to 59 and a half before I retired. So I was like, okay, well, I still got some time to go. They say, well, go look in the TRS, start investigating. So went to go into TRS and investigating. And I was a tier two teacher. And I was like, what is a tier two teacher? And they said, you don't have a retirement age. You can retire whenever you need to. I was like, really? And you can retire with full benefits from
I didn't
TR.
get that. I don't get that, but
No,
I understand.
you can retire with full benefits from TRS after 25 years. And I had 28 years. I like, okay. I said, okay. So then I said, okay, one more semester. Um, at years old, I retired, and my daughters moved to Oklahoma, and I got to take over the duties of taking care of my mom. You know, because like I said, I don't believe that's coincidence. Everything happened at the right time. Everything. I mean, it'd been another 6 months, then I would have had to keep them here to you know, just helping me out while their mom. No, everything worked out. They took off for their mom.
It all went right in a row. It all went the way God intended it to be.
And it's not over yet. Okay, so I started watching her, and then at that time, shoot. TRS, you might not get rich being a teacher, but when you retire, especially with
Full
Cypher,
benefits. Yeah.
they give you bonuses. I got some money for I hardly ever missed a day, and they gave me some good money for that. And they gave me some good money for just retiring, and all the everything that was built up. So at that time, we started looking for a house, and I said, okay, I want to be around here. They have good hospitals. They have good doctors around here. I want to be around here and have my mom, just be right next to them. Like today, we went to the doctor and they got us in and out, and it was awesome. Uh, but I was like, okay, so I want a place around here. So I started looking, and I started. There was a friend of mine from Alice. She is a realtor here, Summer Houseman, and I got in contact with her, said we're looking for a house. Okay, so we started looking. I was researching, she was researching. We're trying to come up with a good game plan to get a house, and I had a budget. I said, "This is the budget I want because my mom's 88 years old. When she passes away, I don't want to have to go back to work just to pay for my house and for my living." I said I wanted to get a place where when she passes away, that I could still afford, and if I want to go back to work, I can go back to work. If not, then I'm still be able to afford the bill. So I had a budget, and I said, "Hey, let's look for a house in this budget." So we started looking. We started looking. Finally, I found one, and it was a 1970 house, and it was in our budget. And I was like, "Okay, this is a nice house. I like it. Might have to do a little bit of fixing up or something like that." But uh, but I like it. And I said, okay, put a bid. So she put a bid, and somebody beat us to that bid. And I was like, and she said, oh, that's okay. Sometimes they fall through and they don't work out. So just be patient. And if they fall through, we'll get the house. Man, I was having dreams of that house, negative dreams about that house. And I've been in there one time to look at it. And I say, hey, you know what? Let's put a bid on this. I liked it. Those negative dreams. And I've been there one time. I was having vivid images of that house and negative things coming. Like there was something negative in there. And I was like, why am I having these dreams? I even told Summer, it freaked me out. I said, Summer, I'm having negative dreams about this place. And it ended up that the person that beat us to the bid, they ended up getting the house. So I was glad about that. And then I was like, okay, was just this some type of anxiety I'm having about getting a house or what? Okay, I said, okay, well, at this budget, we're not getting a house that I want. So I'm going to raise it a little bit. I think I can afford it. So I'm going to raise it a little bit. I raised it and I said, we'll pay this. This is what we can pay and still be okay. And so I started doing her research. She was doing her research. There was 4 houses one day that we were going to, it was here in Conroe, actually up in Willis, coming down to Conroe. So we went to Willis, which was further from my mom's hospitals and all that stuff. So we looked at it and said, hey, the first one, hey, this is a good one. We can make it back and forth to the hospital, even though it's a little longer. So let's think real hard about this one. Then we went to the next one. It was nice. We went to the next one. It was nice. The last one, I said, okay, let's go check this one out. So we came to this house and I started looking at it and I was like, and
It
then
felt right.
it felt right. It was like we walked into this house and I was like, wow. And I was like, this. And I was like, let's go walk around. Let's go walk around. Let's look at this thing. Because she was real good at the eye for detail, telling me what was wrong with it, what needed work, what didn't, and all that stuff. So we started looking around, and I was going, "Don't tell me there's nothing wrong. Please tell me there's nothing wrong. Please tell me there's nothing wrong." And she kept saying, "Hey, there's little things, but this is a nice house." And I was like, "I think so too." I said, "Put a bid right now. Put a bid." She put that bid, and it was the first. We are the first person to bid. Like the other one that we bid on with the second, so we had to wait. No, we were the first one to put a bid on this house. Just the way it is, the budget that I wanted and everything. We put the bid on the house. Um, so the bid went through, and we were the first in line. I don't know, for whatever reason. I'm not a expert in real estate, but everything started getting delayed. Let it go, let it go, let it go through, let it go through. Eventually, it went through. Man, I love this house that we're living in.
It's a home. It's a home.
It's what I wanted. I had no bad dreams. I had no bad dreams whenever we were waiting on everything to happen. Some delays happen, and then she kept telling me, "Well, the company's doing this. It's delayed." I was like, "Come on, come on, come on! I want this house." Eventually, it went through. We got this house. It's not brand new. It's 2019, but it's a beautiful house, and I love this place. And I thank God for all the gifts in my life. Like I said, maybe it didn't happen. Maybe all the stuff didn't happen at the right time. Maybe I didn't get what I wanted, but I couldn't be happy with this house. And I'm here taking care of my mama. She's 88 years old. I'm doing the best I can to take care of her. We still have,
And that is so admirable to be able to take care of your mom. I mean, that's a good feeling. I'm blessed. My dad is still alive. He lives in the Houston area, and he's still very, very healthy and still, gosh, he still professionally bowls. He bowls in the PBA. Yeah, isn't that cool? He's 83 years old and goes out there and does that. It's fantastic. I'm really proud of him. And he is uh so self-sufficient, but I know that I'm here for him. We have a spot for him in our house if he ever gets to a point where he needs to be here. So I know what you're talking about. And that's so admirable, Bingo. That to me talks about what a good man you are. And that comes from in here and from the glory of God. It really does.
I
It
appreciate
really does.
it. And yes, and now that I'm retired, uh, I am reading the Bible a lot more. Doing taking my mom to church. I'm trying to do the best I can, and trying to pursue the dreams that I have in the future. I am not done yet.
That's it's an unfinished story. You're still working, you're still building your dreams. I know you and I talked off camera about something that you're really passionate about that hopefully I can help you start working on, and I'm excited about that opportunity for you too. Well, if you can believe it, we've already talked for 30 minutes. I try to keep these around 30 minutes long. Um, I want to end with some Spike stories because there's so many great ones. I'm going to share one, and then I want you to share one. My favorite Spike Dyke story was I would go to the Red Raider Club luncheons every week during the football season. And Spike loved to eat. Spike loved to eat. And he would come through, and they usually were like a buffet type thing, right? And he'd walk through, and this was a big hall, and there were seats and people all over the place. And he'd pile stuff up on his plate. I mean, it would be this high, you know. And then he'd go and he'd start going like this, looking around. You could just picture him doing this. He's looking around, and then he spots me, and he goes, Dom! And that big old booming voice. And he walks over. He says, I'm so glad you're here. He said, I want to sit by you. And he sits down, and he's like, I can't sit by all these other guys. You help me out. And he loved talking to me. And then he sees me looking at his plate. Now I eat a lot too, but he had 3 times the food that I had and he sees me looking at it, and he goes, now, don't you be telling Sharon how much I'm eating here now. I could just hear him boom with that laughter. He was so full of life, and that's just one of my fond memories of him. Tell me a great Spike story from when you played for him.
Well, this is not when I played for him. This is funny though. Whenever he passed away, all right, we went to his funeral, and Mac Brown was one of the speakers at his funeral. And he said, while Spike was, barely making it, he was on oxygen and all stuff. They went to go play golf. They went to go out and play golf, right? So he said, He said they were playing their golf and all this because Spike was getting winded. Spike said, uh, Max said, "Hey, Spike," he said, "you know, if you if you pass out and fall out and all that stuff, I'm gonna have to give you mouth to mouth resuscitation." Spike looked at him and said, "I'd rather die."
That's Spike in and of a nutshell, isn't it? I tell you what. Oh my Lord. Oh gosh, yeah, I love it. You
Yeah.
know, and bingo, all the great football stories you can tell. I'm hoping that you join us on one of our sports podcasts as a guest. Uh, that we'll get to at some point. I
Yes, sir.
want to end it here. Let me wrap it up real quick, and then I want you to hang on to the line, and we'll talk off camera a little bit. Okay?
Oh, sounds
If
good.
you like hearing uplifting stories like Bingo's of overcoming challenges in life, click the like and subscribe button below. Please click the like and subscribe button. That helps me continue to share the word and to spread the word. Perhaps you have a story of your own to share, an accident, sudden loss, PTSD, alcohol, drug abuse, a natural disaster, illnesses, and you would like to share that journey of overcoming through your faith journey. Please contact me at the email shown below for consideration for a future podcast interview. I rely on viewers like you to share their stories. Thanks again to TradingCardsMarketplace.com for their continued sponsorship to bring these great stories to all of us. TradingCardsMarketplace.com. Discover, connect, collect. Awaken the collector in you. I want to thank everyone out there, especially my family, our military, veterans, and first responders who put their lives on the line every single day. And please, don't forget our teachers like Bingo and me, and our medical professionals who all make the world better one person at a time. But most of all, thank God for all the blessings in our world. We just need to make sure that we concentrate on them every single day. Until next time, my friends, carpe diem, seize the day. And